Welcome, dear panelists. We have a hard topic because it's the digitalization challenge. And now that Ilma has been giving us some examples what lies ahead, I'm very happy to hear your thoughts on that. And there is a little ad now. After this panel discussion, Marko Ylipietilä will continue, and he has promised us to show live demo integrating some of the things that Ilma was discussing. So you see a live demo from Stora Enso mill here in Finland. How does it work? So that was a reason to stay with us till the end. Together with the panelists, we have prepared some of the topics we will cover, and I shoot the first question. And later there will be questions that are addressed to audience as well, so you can vote again with your mobile phones and flights on. Digital technologies provide many business opportunities in terms of cost savings and improved productivity. But in your opinion, dear panelists, is there one thing that every company should do? What should it be in terms of digitalization? What should it be?
Which order? Okay.
You can start if you want, Susanna.
I can start, yeah. So actually I was thinking in the morning when I was very sleepy and I heard this Ilkka Halava talk about stealing the jobs of the machines. So that was kind of woke me up, and I started thinking that this is actually the one thing that we do in many of the digitalization projects. So whenever we start a research project, we start interviewing the people that what should we do? I mean, I'm a doctor of science, technology, and a mathematician, so I always know the tools and how to do it. But the most important thing is to identify the places where you can steal the job from the machine. So what is the most useful thing for you to improve the efficiency? So also in Finnish Forerunner factories that we operate with, they in digitalization, in manufacturing sector, so they all have something in common, I have noticed. They have some kind of way of collecting the ideas from the employees. So if I'm thinking like out of tech, yes. So start collecting those ideas from your employees and workers so that you can really emphasize on the real things, the real problems.
Marko was already nodding, and then Paula.
Yeah, basically we agree to disagree, but I have to agree. So first you have to understand. Before you understand the possibilities of the digitalization, you really cannot work or you cannot act. So the first thing is to gain the understanding, and to gain the understanding you have to, even by yourself, do the research, because you know your business. Mm-hmm. No one else can do it for you. So you have to research, or you have to, if you don't have the capability for the digitalization, you have to hire someone who can do it for you. And I think that the basic know-how, or at least the understanding, has to be in-house. You cannot outsource the understanding of the possibilities of the digitalization.
Okay, and Paula, what do you think?
My answer would be fairly similar, but I'd probably just extend that a bit. I was thinking of starting from a scan or analysis and the understanding, but also like looking at the business environment and kind of where you operate and looking ahead to the future and kind of understanding the kind of systemic change maybe going on around you, and taking that into account, because there might be a lot of possibilities also related to your demand supply chain or value network, and probably as the most important one, the customer interface and the customer experience. Looking at those as well as part of that analysis when gaining the understanding and looking at the possibilities where to concentrate on.
Okay, so Susanna was saying start asking questions from your employees, and if you're, digging that. Markku was saying know where you are yourself, know where you're heading to, and you are saying analyze that thoroughly. What does Markku say?
I kind of disagree.
You disagree?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's you shouldn't overanalyze.
okay,
It's better to do and then analyze what you manage to accomplish.
okay.
It's not so difficult, and there's a lot of help available if you don't have capabilities of your own. So the traditional way is to plan, analyze, design, and then do. I would say that don't do that. Do, and then analyze what you manage to deliver. That's how we work, and we have managed to get pretty good results with that approach, this sort of agile approach.
That's interesting because you work for Stora Enso, and what you just said, I've usually heard from startups fail fast when you try something new. But Susanna wanted to say
I want to kind of add to this. So fast experiments are very important, but currently there are so many experiments done throughout the world. So in the beginning, it should be good and would be good if you benchmark what has been done in the world, and then from that information you kind of refine and select your best experiments. So we are not at this point at any means starting from scratch. So these digitalization experiments, when I think about them, they are pretty simple at the moment. We want to create transparency for the production line, etc., increase robotics. But so there's a lot of already done. So that's why fast experiments, when you know when to act, but you probably have the gut feeling already.
Markku?
Yeah, of course, there's a chance that we are talking about a bit different kind of base situation. But in general, I agree that you have to act. Of course, you're not supposed to just to plan for years, but at the same time, with the experience and a lot of failures in my career also, I have learned my lessons and asked a couple of the questions. And just to gain the base understanding, you have to know the tools that digitalization can give you. If you don't know the tools that you don't know what direction to go. So basically, you have to get something base information before you can take the direction in your own actions.
I was just thinking that when Susanna is working for the university and research projects there, so maybe your message to the small and medium-sized companies would be, ask us. Maybe we are already researching that, or we compile the information for you, and it's much easier and quickest to start when you know what's been done already, right?
Yeah, and that's true. And also, of course, we operate with the best forerunner companies in the industry. So we get the most relevant research questions and, of course, the most recent experiments from those factories to our knowledge, and our job is experience sharing.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Paula, you wanted to say something, no? No,
just a comment that there might be a different kind of time scales for different kinds of organizations. For someone kind of analysis might mean 3 years or 1 year, but even a kind of spending few months or weeks doing a scan and looking at available information and understanding whether your best opportunities are in improving efficiency or improving the customer experience, or maybe something to do with the suppliers, and kind of doing that. It doesn't necessarily take too much time, but I agree that we also need to be able to move forwards fairly quickly and not over-analyze.
Too much, yeah, Markku.
And to give something to the audience and go to some concrete ideas of what you most likely were asking for, not just having the principal ideas, but I would say that digitalization is a key for us local players. I think that here in the audience are a lot of more or less local players who has been working with within a city limits or within a country limits. But the digitalization is making the globe so small. So basically nowadays, I have been working as a Valtavalo CEO for 10 years now, and we have been concentrating on in Finland and Sweden in the professional lighting market. But now, every now and then, there's something that inspires me, and one of the last times that I got like a aha moment was that Amazon has been planning to come to the Nordics, and so far we have been bypassing this kind of things, but basically this would be a good chance, like make a global act for sales of our products, to now contact with this kind of big international giant of sales and distribution. And this is something that we should all understand, that the digitalization is bringing the customers to us. It is not something that we have to go to visit them, but it is giving us lots of possibilities for a bakery in a local neighborhood. They can maybe license their recipe to Australia or whatever. So it's giving wonderful possibilities for us.
Opportunities more, yeah. We were earlier discussing also that not everything is fine, and Mr. Murphy might be entering the projects when we think about digitalization. So let's discuss the pitfalls as well. So in your opinion, what are the worst mistakes company can do or maybe have done when they think about digital business? Maybe Stora Enso has been, doing a lot of things with Marco's presence. So can you recall some things, pitfalls that didn't work?
I would like to turn it around a little bit.
Okay.
So when you develop something completely new, you cannot be afraid of failures.
Yes.
Because you need to fail many times to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Fail fast.
Fail fast again.
So in that sense, you will fail anyway. So don't be afraid of that. But then work and act in the way that allows you to fail. And failures are not in a way failures. They also bring very valuable knowledge to whatever you do. So you should actually celebrate so-called failures as well, and then systematically collect all the learnings from those failures. So if I give an example, we systematically collect ideas. We have a kind of methodology how we walk these ideas through certain development funnel. And we also have a systematic way to collect learnings from each and every project, no matter if it stops or it kind of runs through all the phases and will eventually be implemented and rolled out in larger scale. Yeah. So if you have this sort of systematic way of kind of cherishing failure and celebrating from it, then it gives you a lot of value.
Okay, so do it professionally when you fail. That's your message, maybe. Okay, Paula.
My advice would be maybe for those organizations who have not done that much yet with digital solutions or digitalization. I advise you to not think this topic as a kind of separate issue or something related to technology or something relating to IT, but kind of rather just concentrate on your own business and doing the best products or best services that you can, and doing that as effectively as you can, and then seeing digitalization as something that can provide you tools and enablers for doing that. Yeah. And as already mentioned earlier, kind of not thinking that you should understand everything about this very, very broad topic. We already heard about some kind of applications and possibilities related to artificial intelligence, and alone those are huge.
Yes.
It's very difficult for everyone to grasp all that, but use experts. You only need to kind of know your business and what you want to do there as best as you can, and then see this as a good tool.
Actually, we have a rather
going
good
there.
yes, and rather good network here as well. to
Exactly.
ask,
Yeah, there
because
are
you
many experts.
Yeah, exactly. So let's involve the audience. Sorry.
Sorry, I just wanted to add something here.
Yes, go ahead.
So, when I think about failure in digitalization, the first thing that comes into mind is, of course, cybersecurity. Whatever can go wrong if that's not handled. But I'm thinking at the moment, people are really aware of this and they take care of it. So when I went to Smart Factory Japan, big event in Tokyo last year, there was this thesis that they were always telling what to do when you digitalize your factory. So you have to commit the CXO level that you have actually the business potential covered, and everybody is willing to go ahead in the digitalization. And then the other one was committing workers. So commit your workers that are on the factory floor and so to these experiments, and then fail fast. And we are developing in one of our projects an artificial intelligence foreman. It's kind of a manager that would take care of the optimization of each person resource, each robotic resource, whatever is on the factory floor on a daily basis, so that each morning the people would be put to those places where their skill set is optimal, their current well-being is optimal, etc. But bringing this kind of experiment to the factory without the consent of the workers would be a disaster. So you really need to commit the workers so that you can actually build this digitalization experiment together with them, and they can say in the beginning that I don't want to have this data collected, and well, if I get this benefit, then I are willing. So this is just I wanted to add this because it's somehow come to me that it's very important to also commit the workers.
Get the commitment from the boss first, and then from the workers, and then experiment, fail fast, and learn from that. Now, we need to move on, okay? Let's involve the audience, because I promised that you can vote. And this is a very simple question, or actually a statement. And if you agree with the statement, put the lights on so that the panelists see what you think. Because we think after their comments, your thinking will change. And the claim goes like this: robots will do most of the industrial jobs in 20 years. Do you agree? If you agree that robots will do most of the industrial jobs in 20 years, put the lights on. How does it look like?
Half.
Do you have half, maybe? Half? Not the majority?
Maybe.
Is it a comforting? So they both disagree and agree. How about you? Raise your hand if you agree. Robots will do most of our industrial jobs in 20 years. What do you think?
Dangerous.
Dangerous? No hands coming up? Yeah. Half. Okay. Start with Markku, because I know your company is utilizing robots.
Yeah, I would say that the work is constantly changing, and it has been, and it will be. And today's industrial works like assembly work is something that is no-brainer. Everyone understands that machines should do it because it's not utilizing the natural human resources that we have between our ears. So all this kind of work will for sure will be done by the robots and automation. But there is so many things happening in this area, and there's this artistic point of view also coming to the robots and stuff like this. And there will be lots of collaboration happening in the future. But all the easily automated jobs will be done by the robots. I'm quite certain about that. And also where you need to have a muscle power or something repeating fast thing happening, all of these will go to the robots. But it is not a disaster for the humans, vice versa.
Yes. What about the others? Anybody, Mark?
Well, first you need to define a robot
Yes.
before you can answer that question. So, and kind of it's a bit oldest question in a way that most of the industrial work has been robotized already.
Yes.
So if you think about how many people worked in the first Ford factory when Henry Ford invented assembly line, there were roughly 300,000 employees, and now we need 3,000 to do the same.
Yes, exactly.
So it's kind of this industrial robots have been implemented already in very wide sense. So, for example, these traditional industrial robots, for example, in our factories, they are there. They are doing the work already. So I don't see any massive increase in traditional industrial robotics in near future. However, there will be new kinds of robots.
Yes.
So intelligent robots, more flexible robots, very small robots. Those will start doing more kind of work that currently is performed by humans, for example, because it's dangerous, so to increase safety and so on. But I see bigger change in white-collar work than blue-collar work. Software robotics will change office work a lot in coming years, in that coming 20 years. Similarly, industrial robots changed industrial work. So I would look at more on the software robotics side than the traditional industry robotics side. For example, in Stora Enso we have automized already 55 processes in our business processes, not in manufacturing. Okay. Manufacturing is more like than the traditional robotics.
Maybe the students in the audience want to have a chat with you later on what sort of skills they need to have when they enter your first Susanna to comment. What would be your idea of?
Yeah, the role of the workers will change, of course, and I think this pretty much covered
your thoughts.
Yeah, so the dangerous tasks, increasing the well-being, and also Inma Martinez came very heavily on with this term tacit knowledge. So we are good in that, developing tacit knowledge. So we will use that later on.
Paula, sorry.
I would have also answered with a question that what are industrial jobs in 20 years?
Yeah, that's a good
20 years ago, we didn't know half of the jobs we have today, and the technology and all the development going just exponentially faster and faster all the time. I'd say we don't necessarily have a clue. So more interesting question would be maybe to think about now in a shorter term, to think about how industrial jobs will change rather than kind of having this discussion whether robotics will take the jobs and kind of who will eventually win, but it's about working together.
I'm so happy about your answer, Paula, because this was my hidden agenda. That you bring us the right questions, because sometimes we are asking only the wrong questions. But Markku had a comment.
Yeah, about the software robots or algorithms. That is something that I came up with one funny anecdote yesterday. And I was discussing about this event with one of my friends. And he was mentioning me that there was a story that one big company was hiring a person to do something with his email, some answering to something or something like everyday communication. And the guy was clever enough, and he built up a software robot or algorithm, and now he's having like a holiday in Spain and having the salary coming in every month. So this once again comes with the first point of my was that you have to understand. If you don't understand the possibilities of the digitalization, you are doing the wrong things.
Okay. Thank you, Marco. I think we are time to wrap up because we are out of our time. It's such a short time for 30 minutes. Thank you very much. And I encourage the audience to have a chat later with you. And now that Marco is preparing the live demo, we can get some help from Joni in bit. But thank you very much.